You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the grand finals of the Eternal Tournament Series, third weekly of Season 5. I am, of course, your host, Bairdrus, and once again joined by my wonderful co-host, Sir Rhino.
What year is it? What is this finals matchup?
2016, I think. Right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I vaguely remember a month in July in 2016 where when I qualified for Invitational, I did so via being Elysian versus Rhino in the finals. And I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same, because guess what? We've got Elysian versus Rhino in the finals here. Bill Murray versus Pupicitus.
It's an oldie but a goodie. As we've said, it's not but so surprising that these players and these decks end up making it to the top. I mean, as you just said, like, you were playing this match a year ago in July. We've had a year to refine these decks. It's not but so surprising that people still understand how to play them, pilot them properly. I mean, they still are very powerful decks. And, if anything, that's a good indication that, like, this set will, in the end, be a very diversified set, that we're still going to have decks from set one coming in and, making a splash. So.
Yeah, that being said, I'm still going to be artificially angry about it. No, this should be a fun time. But let's break down this matchup. We've got, on one hand, Bill Murray, who's been drawing absolutely on fire. We just saw that last game, just curving out on the predatory Carnosaurs like it's nothing. With this Primal Time, absolutely monstrous deck, right? Just slamming down the fattest of units you can find and letting them do their thing. And honestly, I kind of like this Rhino matchup. Yeah, if Rhino gets one big quick draw unit rolling and throws a plate on it, you might struggle to block it, but with 4 Carnosaurs and just a bunch of big units, the onus is on Rhino to make that happen. They've really got to make the most of their early turns. But if you ever really lock down the board or stabilize as Elysian, the game's over. Rhino can't really recover from that spot.
Yeah, for Rhino, I feel like this match comes down to 3 very important cards. The first of which is obviously Deep Forge Plate. The second is going to be Vanquish to take care of the nasty threats like Sandstorm Titan in a timely manner. And the third is Champion of Glory. I think Champion of Glory is very important in matchups like this because it has the quick draw, which allows you to attack through multiple blockers once you suit it up, and it has the endurance, so you can hold it back. You suit one of those up with a Deep Forge Plate, maybe a hammer, and you're kind of good to go. The other important part is because it has the endurance, it can't get permafrosted. So, couple of important cards, but overall, yeah, I think I'm going to give this one to Elysian. I think that Elysian, as long as they can manage to stabilize through the first few turns of aggression, that they can bring this match down pretty comfortably.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one, especially who gets the play or the draw will be important here. Does Bill Murray get those turn 1 initiates? How often does he get to do that? These are going to be those little early turns where they develop are really going to tell the story of this match. So we'll just have to wait and see. But both players have been playing well and drawing well up to this point, and I think they're both hoping that that trend continues here in this finals matchup.
Yeah, and we're both hoping that as well. We want to see these players play at their best and draw their best, so we can get a nice, exciting grand finals here.
I also want some things to turn into pigs. Pupicitus, all right, the game is underway. And it looks like Bill Murray was on the play. Pupicitus gets the draw, but draws a turn 1 Oni Ronin. Originally didn't have a turn 1 Oni Ronin, but finds it. So gets something on the board quick, and it's going to get even more on the board here by drawing a Rhino.
Yeah, this Rhino banner is going to help out quite a bit. We're going to see this one coming down. Now there's Champion of Glory. That'll be a 3/3 next turn. And, Bill Murray does at least have the False Prince, but Pupicitus has the Torch in hand that's going to take care of it. So
this is the start that you're worried about if you're Elysian mid-range. Nothing on turn 1 or 2. Try and stabilize with False Prince, and they're going to have a Torch here. Okay, he trots out draws a Teriach actually and trots that out instead. Kind of a way to shield his False Prince from Torch. Smart play by Bill Murray here.
Yeah, we'll see if he gets baited into it. That being said, Pupictus does have the Shogun Scepter and the Hammer of Might, so by the time that the False Prince does come out, these Champions of Glory are going to be able to take it down in one way or another.
Yep. Pupictus is not buying the bait, knows that really pushing through this 2-1 Oni Ronin is not going to be a viable strategy going forward, and instead opts to hold that torch for better targets and get another great threat on the board with this 4-4 champion.
Yeah, and now since he did bank the torch, he's going to be able to throw it at the False Prince, pushing at least another 7 here. This is looking very, very solid for Pupictus right now. Bill Murray is going to be struggling to keep up, and he doesn't have more than 4 power right now, so...
Yeah, Bill Murray to win this game essentially has to draw undepleted power 2 turns in a row. You know, get the Cerso down, transform these Champion of Glories that got equipped, and hopefully stabilize from there. Pupictus opts to jam a Scepter and just swing with the 6-5 rather than killing the False Prince and swinging it with 2 units.
Yeah, it is pushing in right now, and I guess he's just setting up for the torch on the following turn. And we'll have to see what Bill Murray ends up picking up, if he picks up anything relevant. He does pick up a power. All right, so he
Classic Bill.
Cerso. But
Yeah.
Cerso's not going to be good enough here.
It's pretty good. Anything it blocks is going to lose quick draw. This attack is wild, though. Hacking with a 5-5 on this board? I don't see how that could be the right play, but I mean, it's got him here so far, and I guess he knows how fragile this Prince can be. But again, forcing them to torch it is still forcing them to torch it.
Yeah, absolutely, though. Are forcing them in. I mean, the Cerso is going to hold the ground for the time being.
But now, if Pupictus wants, he can just A-space here. It's like, and then torch the Cerso and get a flyer down. Like this, by holding back this False Prince, you would have essentially prevented 6 damage here and what, you gained 5 for it. I don't really love that exchange.
No, I'm not a huge fan of it either. And even better for Pupictus, you know, if he does go with the torch line of play, now that he has the 3/3 Tinker Overseer, like that's another clock in the air. And he goes with another Scepter for the A space here, and he's essentially just saying Cerso's going to have to take a weaker block or I'm pushing 10 damage through.
Yep. If Cerso blocks this Champion of Glory, it becomes a pig, but it still has 6 attack because of the 2 Scepters on it. Or actually 7 attack. The 1 Scepter was +3/+2. So opting to just keep going crazy with these war cries instead of the Torch Overseer approach. And that way he gets a save torch for this False Prince.
Yeah, I mean that seems like a really good line of play. Actually, originally we were talking about just swinging in and throwing the torch, but now he's got the torch for the follow-up damage.
Yeah, so Bill Murray still struggling to hold on, but it's by, I don't even think it's a threat. It might be less than that. Pupictus draws the power for turn, slams down the torch to take out the Prince, and hits the A space.
Yeah, he is going for the A space still, and I'm pretty sure Pupictus has this game locked up at this point. I mean,
yeah,
Bill Murray just doesn't have anything he can do here.
Carnosaur is nice, but it's not going to be enough with that hammer.
Yeah, the Hammer of Might's going to finish it. And a 6/6 Silverwing Familiar, if this game had to go another, even one more turn, the 6/6 Silverwing Familiar would probably lock it up itself. But we're going to see the end of that game right there. So Pupictus is going to go up in the series 1-0 with a very nice start.
Yeah, top decking that Oni Ronin on the very first turn made up for being on the draw, that's for sure. And he was able to leverage that into a very nice curve out beatdown.
Yeah, and we'll see what the start looks like in game 2. Like, Pupictus didn't have the play that game, which is pretty important for the Rhino deck, but he did have just the absolute perfect curve. Like, he had the 1-drop into the 2-drop into another 2-drop, and he even was missing power for a lot of that game, but it didn't matter. His curve was just so perfect going all the way up.
All right. right, so because this is best of 5, there won't be a sideboard here. They should be getting back into the action pretty quickly here. The challenge will be going out shortly. And we'll see if, old Bill Murray will get to tie up this series, or if Publicitus will go up 2-0 before sideboards.
Yeah, and if Publicitus goes up 2-0 before sideboards, that's going to be really hard for Bill Murray to combat, mainly because Ricano can draw, like we just saw, generally 1 out of 3 games. Like 1 out of 3 games, they're going to have what's considered almost a nut draw. And it really just comes down to, are you on the play? Do you have a 1, 2, and 3 drop? And if they have that, it takes a special hand from the Elysian deck to be able to keep up with that. Something with ramp like we're seeing right now. Like Bill Murray actually having the play in this game is huge.
This is what you want. If this initiative stand survives the first 2 turns for Bill Murray, then getting out an early Titan, early Cerso is exactly how you win this matchup against Ricano. Ricano can struggle, but usually can deal with the turn 4 Titan. A turn 3 Titan's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, turn 3 is a little bit quicker, although we do see a Finest Hour already in hand for Publicitus. There might be some shenanigans he's able to pull. That being said, turn 4 Cerso, if he can hit the influence and the power requirements, that's going to be pretty backbreaking. And in fact, actually, just in his hand, he can play turn 4 Cerso. So,
yeah. Publicitus basically needs to find a torch to deal with this initiative the Sands, really, for this to be a game, or some weapons to put on this out. It looks like maybe they're actually waiting for the go-ahead or something like that.
Yeah, I just sent a go-ahead to one of them, so we should be getting underway in just a second. We're going to see if they lead off.
There it is. Action has commenced. Bill Murray opens with some power. Publicitus responds with some power.
Yep, we're going to have a slow turn or 2, although it's only going to go 1 or 2 turns since Initiate's going to be coming down quick. Oh, wait, did Bill Murray pass? Oh, he did, though. Not that it particularly mattered in this case, but since he did pick up the Dawnwalker, that actually was a huge mistake. He would have been able to play Dawnwalker turn 2, Sandstorm Titan turn 3, but instead he passed to try and insulate, I guess, from a turn 1 Torch, maybe?
I don't know. Yeah, he just didn't play the Initiate, but still missed out on a Dawnwalker play, but still gets to play the Titan, and Publicitus has to use Finest Hour and Torch here.
Yeah, although, that's not necessarily a terrible trade to get the Titan out of the way. And it is when you know the Cerso is behind it.
As from Publicitus' perspective, you have to do that. You have to deal with this Titan. The rest of your hand is a Silverwing. Just kind of have to deal with the Titan, even if it is a 2-for-1. You get a Warcry out of it, and now your hope is you get down this Familiar, you get a nice weapon for it, and it flies over this Cerso that Bill Murray is about to drop here. But in the meantime, Bill Murray's doesn't quite have the counter pressure he was hoping for. No Dawnwalker in play could be the game or the deal breaker here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the deal breaker, though. I think you're absolutely right. Like, I don't know how he gets past this.
Well, now Publicitus is just hoping to find a weapon for this flyer that'll eventually come down, or a Vanquish to clear the ground. In the meantime, it looks like Bill Murray's going to swing with a Cerso because he drew another Cerso. Pig wizards everywhere. And Publicitus is looking at a hand of power and a board that's just going to turn into pigs at some.
Yeah, and this game is just completely stacked in Bill Murray's favor at this point. 2 Cerso Pig Wizards coming in, and I mean, Publicitus, even if he blocks here, is just taking so much damage. I mean, his top deck has to be absolutely perfect here. I'm not even sure what he can find at this point.
He needed a plate for the bird. Yeah, he needed a plate for the bird to gain life on both ends. Like, with the Aegis, it could still block a Cerso if you wanted to and not transform, although kind of wanted to transform, actually, when you're putting it on 1/1. But yeah, Publicitus drew more power, 8 power, too much there. And Cerso does what it does when it's ramped out quickly, right? This is exactly what Elysian wants to do. Your opponent stumbles slightly, you play a really large unit, and your opponent dies.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what you want, as you said. And I mean, those Cersos are so backbreaking. And it comes down to what I said at the top, where Rakano has 3 important cards, and if they can't find all 3 generally, you're going to have a tough time. So he found the Champion of Glory, but he didn't find the plate to suit it up with where he can get past the Cerso, and he also couldn't find the Vanquish to take the Cerso down. And that's the card that's going to break his back in this matchup. On top of Sandstorm Titan. I mean, he was able to deal with Sandstorm Titan, but he had to 2-for-1 the Sandstorm Titan.
Yep. So now we do go to sideboards. I imagine the Rakano deck will be bringing in that extra Vanquish. I don't know if it'll bring in anything else. I guess Rebuke could be an option here, just another removal spell to deal with large stuff. It doesn't deal with it permanently, but buying 2 turns is really all you need a lot of the time in Rakano.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you just need 1 or 2 turns to actually be able to get yourself to that point in the game where you can really turn the corner. Or if, in the case of the Rakano, you need the first few turns of the game to kind of get off the starting line and get ahead of the Elysian deck. So, I mean, both players really need to have a lot of interaction in the first few turns of the game. If any player has to take multiple turns off or just has a slow start, they're generally going to be the person that falls behind. And interestingly enough, Bill Murray wins that game on what honestly was probably a mistake. Like, maybe it was sequenced properly. Maybe he was trying to dodge the torch. Maybe his line of thinking was that I can catch my opponent tapped out, or I can catch them on a turn where, on their second turn, they're going to have to choose to either torch my initiate or they're going to have to commit a 2-drop to the board. So they're sacrificing committing their 2-drop. But either way, I mean, having that Dawnwalker come out, if he had hit Dawnwalker on turn 2 into Sandstorm Titan on turn 3, Cerso turn 4, I mean, that's a win every time, right? Like, you're not losing those.
Yeah, it would have still been a great curve out. But for Bill Murray's sideboard, I imagine these 4 envelops are for this matchup, or he's just never bringing them in any. It's a conditional teleport that costs 1. It can only be used on opponent's attacking unit, and it just returns them for hand and costs 1. That is envelop. So the idea is if your Rakano opponent tries to use a combat trick or a weapon to push through a unit and then attacks with it, you return it to hand with envelop. So if it's not for the Rakano matchup, I'm guessing it's just 4 dead sideboard cards that are just never coming. Other interesting cards here, you could get cute and bring in Decay. I'm not the biggest fan of it against Rakano, but they have enough targets that it's fine if you think there's something worth cutting. But again, like Envelop kind of does the same job and also returns the unit to hand, and costs less. So I think Envelop's a little bit better than Decay in this matchup. Lumen Defender's a nice blocker. Ancient Terrazon probably too slow. Sand Viper is appealing as an early blocker. The problem is it doesn't block that much. Your opponent's units are quick draw units and flyers and a 2-1 for 1. So,
yeah,
it's never blocking any of these quick draw units or any of the flyers. It's literally only answering Oni Ronin unless you get Xenon Obelisk in play.
It's very weak to the Rakano deck, certainly. They do play a ton of quick draw and flyers, and Sand Viper's just never going to deal with either. I mean, that's really the problem with playing a lot of those smaller deadly units, is that they just really don't do enough.
Yeah. So it looks like Propicitus disconnected, so he'll be reconnecting shortly, and then we'll be getting this game underway. So we'll see what Bill Murray opted to bring in for his sideboard. And another card I like is Infinite Hourglass as well, actually. Bring this in a lot against aggressive decks because it allows you to race them more easily by allowing you to attack and block with all of your units. So maybe that'll come in as well. It's also cute against Rebuke, because if they rebuke your unit, it only silences it, doesn't stun it, so your unit can still block. So I think the Hourglass could also be worth bringing in. Again, not sure exactly what you're cutting here. Maybe just some of your top end, like the Thunderstrike Dragons or the Teriach Hatchlings aren't really doing anything important in this matchup. Could see those on the outs. We'll just have to see when it comes back. Yeah, Propicitus is sending out the challenge now, so this game should be starting shortly.
Yeah, we're going to get into our game 3 in just a second. So players are tied at 1 game apiece. I mean, how do you see this going after sideboard, Rhino? If you had to give it to somebody now that we're tied at 1-1.
I mean,
It's
the Rakana
essentially a
deck,
best of 3.
the Rakana deck does get the extra Vanquish. It's all tied up. I don't know. I like the Legion going into it, and I think I still like it post board here. But here we go. The
I
match
think I have
is
to give them the
underway.
advantage as well.
Hey. Pupicidus gets the play.
Yeah, the play is super important in this matchup, as we talked about already. I mean, Pupicidus needs to be on the play most of the time, although this hand is not ideal.
Not ideal, but at the same time, if it kind of reads like if my opponent doesn't have Sandstorm Titan, I just beat them to death with flyers, hopefully. And it's got the good enough fixing to keep it. Another outlaw. All right, so just 2 drops on 2 drops here for Pupicidus. But that 1 torch will hopefully go a long way. In the meantime, Bill Murray's got a bunch of depleted power and some permafrost, so can at least stop these early war cries if he so chooses.
Yeah, he will be able to permafrost the early war cries. Other than that, though, his hand's very uninteractive.
Yeah, typically Elysian is uninteractive other than the attacking and blocking angle. So, but still, these permafrosts are going to be really, really useful for the time being. Again, he'll have to find an answer to these flyers at some point, but hopefully he's hoping the answer is kill my opponent with bigger, faster clocks.
Yeah, and it seems like it may work out. Ooh, a Sandstorm Titan picked up for Bill Murray. Now, that's pretty important. That's going to be the card that makes or breaks this matchup right here.
Yeah, and then so now he's going to permafrost and get down the 1/1. If I was Bill Murray, I would have considered at least permafrosting first to see that pause to try and test for torch, and then play the Amber Monument just because it's so important you play Sandstorm Titan next turn. But again, his opponent's on essentially an empty board because of the permafrost. That a huge priority. Now, Pupicidus opts to go with the torch line rather than the double overseer line, and Bill Murray needs to draw undepleted power. Is just going to be playing a Dawnwalker here.
Yeah, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but yeah, it's not where he wants to be. So you have to play the Dawnwalker, and I mean he hits a Sand Viper, but that's not going to do anything against these flyers. So
this is exactly why I was saying I would not have brought in Sand Viper. I just don't see many board states where it's going to be a very a relevant card. Literally, Pupicidus has played 5 units, and Sand Viper deals with 0 of them.
Yeah, and even if he was playing other units, I mean, Champion of Glory, Silverwing Familiar, Valkyrie Enforcer, the only card it hits is Oni Ronin.
Yeah. So now Bill Murray getting in the pressure with Dawnwalker, and this is the plan we were talking about. Ends up playing out the Amber Monument too, which is a little surprising, but he's banking on maybe top decking Surso and doesn't want that to be awkward.
Yeah, and we see Bill Murray getting aggressive here now with the Dawnwalker and the Sandstorm Titan. He's going to become the aggressive deck now that he's kind of turned this corner and already pushed Pupicidus down to 12. And the two Tinker Overseers not doing a lot. I guess the Sand Viper's good now since the units are grounded, but
Pupicidus keeping a 2-power hand proceeds to draw 5 power in his first 6 or 7 draw steps. Just not working out the way you want it to. And, now Sandstorm Titan, Sand Viper gets upgraded to a 4/5 deadly, and Bill Murray is just bringing the beats here.
Yeah, really though, they're just all the way in right now, and I don't know how he's going to get out of this situation. Like the Sandstorm Titan is just so oppressive right now, and he doesn't have a burn spell that can handle it as a 6/7. He's going to have to come up with some combination of fast spells, and I just don't see them anywhere.
Yeah, after these blocks, okay, he opts to chump the Titan rather than double block it. He's hoping to draw removal and maybe get a weapon or something on this. But again, another 6/6 Overwhelm brings back a 5/2 Overwhelm, and Pupicidus just blanks again on a Seat of Glory and scoops it up.
Yeah, and Bill Murray just able to take over right there, as the Elysian deck wants to do, and able to employ that strategy, having double permafrost and then just kind of leading into the rest of his hand. And really the key was he found that Sandstorm Titan. If he never found Sandstorm Titan, he probably actually loses that matchup. But once you find Sandstorm Titan, you put yourself in a much, much better place.
Yeah. At that point, once the Sandstorm Titan showed up, like we said, we needed a Rebuke or a Vanquish, and I'm guessing Publicitus brought in Rebuke, but just couldn't find any of those 6 cards, and instead found a whole bunch of power and no Warcries to show. So that puts Bill Murray up 2-1 now. And looks like a little bit of sideboarding's going on. Maybe he'll end up taking out the Viper. The Viper did actually kill his opponent there, but I don't think that's always going to happen. I think maybe he realized when he played that Viper how bad it kind of felt.
Yeah, and definitely could stand to go ahead and take those out, as I'm sure he just did. So we're going to jump now into our 4th game. Bill Murray up 2-1 in the series. We're going to see if he brings it home right here, or if Publicitus can get us to a deciding Game 5.
Yep, we've been going to Game 5 a few times so far in this top 8. And I'm sure some Rakano haters out there won't want that to happen, but I always like to have more Eternals. Somehow we haven't had enough yet today. Publicitus has a couple power, has some 2-drops, and Bill Murray's got some Permafrosts and some 1 and 2 drops of his own.
Yeah, he's got these friendly wisps. He just doesn't have a unit early on to go with them. That's what he's going to be looking to find. And we do see him dropping. He has Permafrost and Hourglass for the turn, which is not super exciting, but it's a thing. And Publicitus, in the meantime, has a couple options here, actually. See if he wants to go with the Silverwing Familiar. I don't think he played Power for turn. Or he could go with the Tinker Overseer.
Yeah, I think you're going to opt to go with the Familiar. It's just hard to interact with. Gaining life can be relevant. This matchup can come down to racing quite often, and you've got some good weapons to put on it. So now I'm guessing Publicitus, just gets the Scepter down, starts swinging in with that, and he's got the Vanquish in hand. He's got to be feeling pretty good about his position right now.
Yeah, definitely. And Bill Murray's not in a great position either. He still only has 2 power, no power in hand. We'll see if he hits it off the top, because if he doesn't hit it off the top, which it doesn't look like he did, he's just committing a second friendly wisp. And this will allow him to block down the Silverwing Familiar, which is fine. But with the second Silverwing Familiar picked up by Publicitus, it's not actually going to be putting in but so much work.
Bill Murray forgetting to attack with this friendly wisp. Come on, man. They have endurance. Every point counts. But
that's true. Play the Hourglass, you got to use it.
Publicitus slams in here. He knows his opponent's stuck on power. Bill Murray knows these probably aren't getting triggered anytime soon. Maybe you just need to take out this bird, stop the Warcries. The problem is, by doing so, the skies are going to be cleared for the rest of Publicitus' hand. Really tough spot for Bill Murray to recover.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he doesn't have power right now is making this so difficult, and yeah, he lets the bird go through, and the second Silverwing Familiar will be coming down to join it, and now this game looks like it's squarely in the hands of Publicitus to take care of this one. I mean, even if Bill Murray can get to his 4th power, he's got the Vanquish wrapped up and ready to go. Probably just see a Tinker Overseer this turn.
So Publicitus stuck on 3. Bill Murray finds his 3rd power, but it's depleted, so he can't even get the Amber Acolyte out to try and curve into this Titan. And by the time he finally does curve into this Titan, Publicitus has the Vanquish. It might end up being too little too late. Bill Murray playing this Amber Acolyte out of hand and going to be it. Another 7 damage in the...
Yeah, this is definitely going to be too little too late. I mean, by the time this 7 crashes through, Bill Murray's eventually going to have to chump block one of these. The Vanquish will take care of the Sandstorm Titan. It's not going anywhere. So we are almost assuredly going to get a Game 5 here, folks.
Yeah, Bill Murray's had some hands in the past that were light on power, and he ended up drawing his way out of it. Just wasn't in the cards this time. But hey, that means we get a Game 5. Unless Publicitus forgets to hit A space or use his abilities. This is looking... I mean, there might be a way if Bill Murray chains Sandstorm. He can jump block with this 1/1, but at some point I think this Deep Forge Plate's going to bring it all down.
Yeah, the Deep Forge Plate is just insurance. The Soulfire Drake hanging out in hand. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah, even a Titan here is still going to mean Publicitus has lethal. She might ground the Flyers, but they can still just suicide attack through.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he drops Lumen Defender here, he's still alive for one more turn.
Oh
Assuming
yeah,
a power doesn't come off the top, but you're going down to one. You're gonna have to play another Lumen Defender to follow up again, and then that one will kill you since you're gonna have 7 damage.
Healer's Cloak will gain 7. I mean, he's not out of it yet, but again, it's a stretch here.
I think actually, even if the Healer's Cloak gains,
because it's not giving you an extra unit.
Yeah, he's gonna have to drop another Lumen Defender, but that doesn't give him quite enough health. So this is gonna push Bill Murray out of the game, and we are going to a Game 5 series tied up 2-2. We're gonna have a decider here to see whether or not Pupicitus on this Rhino deck can beat out Bill Murray on the Elysium.
So Bill Murray gains some life, swings in because it has endurance, might as well. But the math says he's dead once Pupicitus hits A space here.
Yeah, kind of just jumping ahead. So unfortunately, it's already a foregone conclusion. So I'm just looking towards this deciding Game 5. And we're going to see which of these players can bring it down altogether and take home the first place points. Both of these players, however, just to note, Pupicitus and Bill Murray will have qualified for the Season 5 Invitational by finishing in the finals here. So they're both at least locked up, but there is a point discrepancy in first and second place for series points, which, as I talked about earlier, are the points that qualify you for the majors. So if they're looking to get into the majors, this first and second place actually does matter quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. I think all that's on their mind right now, though, is that they just want to win. They want to be the first one to take down Omens of the Past tournament. Although doing it without a lot of Omens of the Past cards, there might be an asterisk next to it, but a win's a win, and I can respect people doing what it takes to win. So here we go. The decider match is on its way. Pupicitus looking at a 4-power hand on the play with no weapons, a combat trick. I don't know if that's really what you're looking for out of Rhino. Meanwhile, Bill Murray's got 3 power, has a 2-drop and a 3-drop. It's looking good for him.
Yeah, this is all he wants. He's got the Friendly Wisp into False Prince, and then if that picks up a power and a Titan, he is on his way.
Pupicitus keeps the 4-power hand with the Flyers. He's banking on finding either weapons or removals to keep them afloat. But this is certainly at risk of flooding, but I think he kept it just because the fixing was what he was looking for, and the threats are lining up with what he wants. There's the Deep Forge plate.
The plate, that's the next card. So he's assembled basically 2 pieces of the combo. Silverwing Familiar, most of the time interchangeable with Champion of Glory. So he's got 2 pieces of the combo. He just needs to find Vanquishes to take care of any of the really nasty units and 5th power, and he should be good to go.
Yeah. In the meantime, okay, well, there's a 5th power. He's just got to play it out at some point, probably on turn 4. In the meantime, he's going to Pupicitus is going to just play another Diplo Seal, get that fire source out of it. Important to note, Emerald Monument is a justice source for this play. The Diplo Seal wasn't going to be able to be one. So he's got his influence to cast this Deep Forge play on time. Now it's got to be enough. While Bill Murray, in the meantime, plays a 5/5, draws a bunch of cards, has a 1/1 flyer to keep this bird at bay. We'll see what he ended up drawing off this False Prince. We're still waiting for that stream.
Yeah.
In the meantime,
Primal Sigilant and Infinite Hourglass.
All right, Infinite Hourglass is a useful tool here. I don't know. Well, he might get it out of hand next turn if he has nothing better to do. His hand's all 5 and 6 drops. Permafrost. So we'll wait and see. But in the meantime, he's got a 5/5 of his own that he can start beating down with the do, and that also encourages the Infinite Hourglass play.
Yeah, this has created a clock. Although Pupicitus does have the 5th power and the Deep Forge plate, so that's really going to be the determining factor here. Although, it matters where he throws the Deep Forge plate and whether or not this combat trick gets baited out. Because if he puts it on the bird, Predatory Carnosaur at some point can clean that up. Like, he has to trade for it, but it at least gets the bird off the table. And that's really going to be what Pupicitus is on for the rest of the
game. This A space means I think Bill Murray's going to be permafrosting and playing the Hourglass, which means Deep Forge plate's going to go on whatever gets permafrost.
Yep. So, he's going to put it over there.
So that Tinker Overseer will be the receiver of this Deep Forge plate. It unlocks it from the permafrost, becomes a 7/7 flyer, which again, Predatory Carnosaur cannot kill. But it also means that, God, I'm stumbling over my words. Pupicitus needs an easier name. I'm going to say. It means he's not getting life every turn with this swing on the flyer. He's just dealing a lot of.
Yeah, and we see Pupicitus use the Finest Hour right now to transform the False Prince into a frog to kind of save himself some of that life, since it looks like he may be going to commit.
Yeah. It also lets him swing with the 2/2 quick draw here, where he wouldn't have been able to before, and he might just value getting these war cries over saving the combat trick.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be pressuring quite a bit here. He does go for the bird, and I think the reason he does this is actually just a little bit of I don't want to call it a mistake exactly, but it's just people often forget that Deep Forge play does override permafrost. So it might be something like that, because I can't imagine why in an Elysian deck you don't just target the 2/2, because now, as I said, Predatory Carnosaur actually will be able to clean this up.
Yeah, it will. And Pupicitus draws a Soulfire Drake that he can't cast. So again, the life gain is relevant. He's thinking he's going to get into a racing scenario here, and in Pupicitus' mind, it's like, all right, Bill Murray has to curve out into a Predatory Carnosaur to really line. Maybe I just go for it, because if you don't, you can't even swing with this 1/1 bird until you take out the other 1/1 flyer on the other end. So I can see the line of reasoning. I just thought you would take out the permafrost and spread your threats, but that bird's dead. Pupicitus is at 31 life and finds the fire source for this Soulfire Drake. So that's 6 damage coming down here. I think if you're Bill Murray, you're going to be chumping to not get into torch range. And then, I don't know, do you put a Healer's Cloak down the next turn to gain life? Do you get a Lumen Defender down? Maybe you just pray and hope to draw an answer to this Soulfire Drake.
No, I think you drop a cloak here. I think you drop a cloak so you can get aggressive, keep pushing more damage with the Cerso, and then the following turn you can drop Lumen Defender, because you're going to gain 8 here. You're going to gain 5 on the next one, which basically puts the Soulfire Drake, 3 or 4 turns out.
I think Bill Murray, what he really wanted was like undepleted power, and then he could False Prince and Healer's Cloak here, and that would have been awesome. Now he's got to decide, does he double False Prince? Does he just Healer's Cloak? Does he just Lumen Defender? Double False Prince is obviously incredibly risky. It does improve your clock. It means you kind of have to dodge any pump spell or weapon for 1 turn. But you gain 2 False Princes on board and might be able to end the game sooner before they can actually draw that out. If you go the Healer's Cloak route, you're upping your clock a little bit, and looks like that is what Bill Murray is going to go with here. Only hitting for 8 this turn, but gaining all that extra life means he doesn't die to this Deep Forge plate that just got drawn by Pupicitus.
But here comes the Deep Forge play, and now he breaks off the Tinker Overseer. So now he's got 13 coming across, and I think this is actually just going to end the game.
Yeah, I don't.
Bill Murray's going to have a Sandstorm Titan exactly to bring these units to the ground.
And even Sandstorm Titan won't do it because the 2 2/2s will sneak through here. So yeah, that looks like the game. I mean, Rhino finds 2 plates, and Pupicitus kept a hand with 2 flyers, no weapons, and drew an extra flyer and 2 plates. I mean, that's putting faith in your deck, and it paid off.
Yeah, and there's a little salt in the wounds there. Both the flyers are going to come through. Pupicitus takes the series down 3-2 with Rhino plate over Bill Murray on Elysian mid-range in a very, very close series, going all the way down to Game 5.
Yeah, and it coming down to top decking a Drake into a plate for the Rhino player, but good play on both sides. It's been a long tournament. I'm sure they're a little tired, but they closed it out. They played well, and hats off to Pupicitus winning with Rhino plate. Took down the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, not a completely surprising result, but not exactly what we thought was going to happen. Hoping to see a new deck, but honestly, by next Saturday, I wouldn't be surprised if Rhino doesn't even end up in the top 8. It's going to take a few weeks for people to really refine the Set 2 deck, so we'll see how those shake out. In the meantime, we are going to turn the broadcast over to Rekenner, our tournament organizer.
Hello, everyone. This is Rekenner, your tournament organizer here. First, I would like to congratulate both Pupicitus for taking first place in the event and Bill Murray for making it to the finals. Both of them have guaranteed their place in the Invitational, which is planned to be on August 26th and 27th, which will be, after the season has concluded, it will be all of our finalists from all 7 weeklies, the top 4 players from our last chance qualifier, which will be happening the Sunday after the 7th weekly, and the top 14 invitational point players. Next, I would like to thank all of our players and all of our viewers. If it wasn't for y'all, we couldn't be doing this. Putting this tournament and stream on every week is amazing. It's really fantastic. And hey, despite the finals, there were a lot of great decks in this event. I am excited to play Marius's deck on the ladder. I'm excited to play the various Praxis Warp iterations. And I'll probably build Dark Cambrai. So pretty great first Set 2 tournament, again, despite the finals. I especially want to thank all the viewers. We had, I think we capped out at about 730 viewers today, which is roughly insane. Not even LSV hits that number every time he streams Eternal. Not that we're better than LSV or anything, but, just saying. I'd also like to thank Miller Tool, our producer. Without him, we could literally not be streaming this. And also thanks to our graphics and code contributors who make our jobs massively easier, especially Mengar for our tiebreaker script and the deck image creation tool, which was updated in the span of a week for this event. I believe Sir Rhino helped out with that as well. And a huge thanks to our $20 Patreon backers. Without all of our Patreon backers, but the $20 backers especially, none of this would be possible. You are the backbone of our monetary support for our prize pool. A special shout out to Orca and Light for subscribing on Twitch during the stream. And our $20 Patreon sponsors are Chuck Hurst, Easy, Chris Kearns, Andre Pokai, and Seek Power Gaming. And finally, thanks to our casters, Sir Rhino and Bairdrus. Sir Rhino, do you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Sir Rhino. I'm sure you've somehow heard of me at some point. If you've paid attention to Eternal, I have a way of worming my way into everything. I stream every day. It's a lot of fun. I like to draft. I like to brew bad decks and do poorly with them as well. So you can catch me streaming at Sir Rhino on Twitch TV. I also love casting these tournaments, so it's always fun to duck in here and have some fun. I'll occasionally play them and win them too, I guess, but it's more fun to hang out in the booth and just chat it up and have fun. So it's always a pleasure to be on here. And yeah, again, thank you for having me on in the booth.
And Bairdrus, would you like to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you who don't know, of course, I'm Bairdrus. I've been casting these tournaments for about 6 or 7 months now. We had short hiatuses here and there, but I am back to stay for good. So I'll be casting a lot more of these tournaments. You can catch me here every single Saturday going forward. I'll be here chatting up with whoever, and I just want to give a big thanks to Sir Rhino for joining me in the booth today. And yeah, so if you want to hear more from me, you can always catch me here on Saturdays casting these tournaments. And that's got it. Back to Rekenner.
And that does it for this week's show. We do this show every week at noon Eastern. So click that follow button, leave the notifications on, because not only do we stream ETS every Saturday, we stream something on this channel every single day except for Friday. We have Lights Out Ace, Miller Tool, and even aReNGee himself. And as a reminder, these events are open registration. If any of you want to join up for next week, check out arengeternal.com/ETS, the letters ETS, and the tournament information channel on Discord. If you do not know where the link to the Discord is, it is on the subreddit, the Eternal subreddit sidebar. If you have any trouble figuring out what to do or any questions, you can always send a message to me or aReNGee himself on Discord. So thanks very much again, everybody. Have a good night and enjoy the music on the way out.